Hey everyone, Jamie here from TechnicalCafe.com. Welcome to your 7th Java tutorial. In this tutorial we're going to be talking about conditional statements in Java, also called if statements, if-else statements, or sometimes even if-else statements. And these are important in many programming languages as they allow you to add some degree of logic to your programs. So you're not just printing out, strings to the screen or numbers to the screen. You're actually creating a program that can start doing something. And what we're going to be doing in this tutorial is creating a number guessing game. And you all have played these games before, especially when you were younger. Like somebody guesses a number and somebody else has the number in their head and they tell you if you're right or wrong, something like that. So we're going to try to implement this in Java using some if, else if, and else statements, just so you can see how they work. And this is pretty much a great example on how to do that. So let's go ahead and create an int variable. And we will say, let's call this my guess. And we'll set this equal to, let's just leave this alone for right now. We won't set it equal to anything. We'll set it equal to null. And let's go ahead and start creating some if statements to decide if we guessed the right number or not. So in this situation, let's go up to 5. So we're going to be guessing from 1 to 5. So let's say, let's go ahead and create an if statement to check for this. So we're going to do this by using the syntax if, followed by a set of parentheses, and inside of these parentheses is going to be the condition that we're checking for equality. And if this is true, what's going to happen is the code within this set of curly braces that follows the parentheses is going to be executed. And we're going to create a code block here. So if whatever is in here is true, we're going to do the code or execute the code that is inside these two parentheses. So it's a pretty simple topic. And then let's say that this is evaluated as false. We're going to jump to this end of this parenthesis here and execute the next thing. So there could be an else if statement here. And we're going to check in this situation, else if this is true, we execute this code. If it's not, we're going to jump down and execute whatever's after this. And that just keeps going. You can do that as many times as you'd like. So let's go ahead here and say if my guess, now we're going to set my guess equal to something. And you may think that to check for equality, we're going to be using the equal sign. But in Java and many other programming languages, the equal sign means assignment. So what we're going to be doing is checking for equality, and that just means that we're going to use two equal signs instead. So if my guess equals, or if my guess is equal to, let's say 1, we'll guess, let's say system.out.println, sorry, wrong guess, or wrong number. And let's say in this situation that 3 is the correct number that we're guessing. So let's go ahead and come down here and check to see what happens if we guess the number 2. So since we already used if, we're going to use else if instead. So if that's not true, we're going to check else if my guess is equal to 2. We're going to execute some code and we'll say sorry, 2 is not right either. And we're going to go down and do the same thing for 3 with an else if statement. However, so we'll say else if my guess equals 3. And let's say that 3 is the correct number that we're guessing. System.out.println, you guessed the right number. Oop, forgot to put the parentheses in there. There we go. So now we have a string. So you guessed the right number. And what we're going to do here, let's just neaten this up a little bit. After this, we're going to say else if my guess equals 4. We're going to do the same thing, system.out.println, you guessed the wrong number. And of course, you have to spell everything right. And then finally, let's say that we guess all these and we get to 5, or we guess any other number. What we're going to do is say simply else. And else is what's called the default statement. So if any of these evaluate to false, every single one of these, what's going to happen is the else statement's going to be evaluated regardless of what else is put in there. So we're going to say else, let's say system.out.println, sorry, still have the wrong number. Okay, so what happens here, let's just go over this. So we have a number called my guess, which is what we're going to be guessing. And we're going to be guessing the number, and hopefully if we guess right, it's going to be 3. So what's going to happen is we're going to guess 1, and that's going to say, sorry, wrong number, if we guess 1. If we guess 2, what's going to happen is it's going to say 2 isn't right either. If we guess 3, since it's the right number, my guess is equal to 3, we're going to print out, you guessed the right number. And if we guess 4, what's going to happen is it's going to say, you guessed the wrong number. And if we guess 5, we don't even have to put an else if statement. We can just say, sorry, still have the wrong number. And that'll go for every other number that isn't 3. So let's go ahead and insert a number in here. Let's put in, for example, 4. And we'll compile, save, and run our program. And you'll see that we have, you guessed the wrong number, because 4 is not 3. So we're saying right now, my guess, it's going to come down and check if my guess is 1. It's not, so it's going to skip that. My guess is 2. Nope, it's going to skip that. My guess is 3. It's not 3 either. It's going to skip that. And my guess is equals 4, so it's going to stop here. It's going to execute whatever code is within these two curly braces, and then the program's just going to skip to the end here and continue executing. So this is how we go about doing that. Let's go ahead and change this to 3 now. And we're going to go ahead and run this. And you'll see that now, since we have my guess equals 3, what it's going to do is it's going to go through this if statement and say, so 3 is not equal to 1, that's false. 3 is equals 2, also false. 3 equals 3, that's correct. So it's going to stop here, and it's going to print out, you guessed the right number. And then it's going to jump to the end of the if statements here, at the end of this else statement, and it's going to continue executing whatever code happens to be down here. In our case, it's nothing, so the program just stops. One more time, let's go ahead and guess a number that isn't in here. So let's guess 102, and let's go ahead and run this, and you'll see, sorry, I still have the wrong number, as 102 goes through. 102 does not equal 1, doesn't equal 2, doesn't equal 3, nor 4, so it's going to just come down to the default statement here, and it's going to say, sorry, I still have the wrong number. So this is how you go about using if statements in Java. It's a pretty simple concept. Feel free to go ahead and play around with it. Maybe use some strings, a combination of strings and integers and something like that. Just play around until you get the feel for it. They're pretty easy to go about using, but if you have any questions, please feel free to send me a comment, a tweet, twitter.com/jamiemcg or twitter.com/technicalcafe, and I'll be glad to try to answer any questions. Please feel free to let me know if you have any, recommendations for future tutorials and things like that. So thank you for watching.